15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome into what is a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We got a good show for you today. Manny Rodriguez is here. Stuart Kovacs is here. And we're rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. 40 minutes from now, World Series champion. Also does a great job, CBS Sports HQ. Major League Baseball analyst, friend to show, Will Middlebrooks will stop by to preview the Fall Classic that gets underway tomorrow evening between the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, led by Shohei Ohtani. And then one of the better stories in the country, Army's quarterback Bryson Daily is going to stop by today at 4:20 p.m. Eastern, 1:20 p.m. Pacific time. All righty, whole lot to get going to today. We also have a surprise for you later on in the show, which I will tell you what the surprise is in about like 10 to maybe 12 minutes from now. But I got to start off on just a pathetic note. USC. We didn't really talk about the Trojans coming off of last weekend because at this point in the aftermath of another busy college football Saturday, my take on USC is just like beating down on the dead horse at this point. I had a take a few years ago about Lincoln Riley, and I got a lot of pushback for this take on Lincoln Riley because I am very strict when using the word great. You really have to be great for me to use the word great. Now in society right now, everyone's great. Everyone's the GOAT. You do one thing above average, up you're great, up you're wonderful. And I'm not taking away from what Lincoln Riley has done in college football. Lincoln Riley is not a bad coach. Lincoln Riley is not trash. Lincoln Riley is not average, but Lincoln Riley is just a good to a very good coach. And for all these years, people would say, Zach, but he's always in the college football playoff. But Zach, he always has a Heisman Trophy finalist. And look how many people have won the Heisman Trophy and have gone on to be the number one pick of the NFL draft under the tutelage of one Lincoln Riley. And I've always said, hey, are you not listening to what I'm saying? Like before the show started, I got into a passionate debate in the newsroom with our friend Anthony Gallo. We were arguing over something. And Gallo was just speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking. And then when I would try to get my opinion in and give my 2 cents, Gallo would then just cut me off and keep on speaking. And I was like, hey, dummy, shut up for a second and just listen. I go, do me a favor. Don't talk for 25 seconds. And I won't say what we were arguing about. It was something very trivial. But I go, just shut your mouth and stop having those lips move at 1,000 miles per hour for 25 seconds so I could just articulate my point, because we weren't really disagreeing on the main topic. It was just how someone got to the topic. But anyway, whenever I would give that opinion on Lincoln Riley, people would be like, oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you're a moron. Oh, you're a dope. How do you not acknowledge this guy that's always in the college football playoff, who always has a Heisman Trophy finalist, who felt like always had the Heisman Trophy winner and the number one pick in the draft? How can't you call him a great coach? And this would always be my retort. It would always be this simple thing that I would say. And it was, let me know how many college football playoff games this great, innovative, offensive genius that everyone tells me about in Lincoln Riley has won. Let me know how many games he has won in the college football playoff as a head coach. And when I would say that, I would either get a weak justification to try to further have someone prove their point right, or I would get that look of a blank stare and be like, oh, Zach Gelb got me, because the answer is 0. Lincoln Riley has never won a college football playoff game. And you want to know why Lincoln Riley's not succeeding at USC? Because even though USC, the brand, is a big, right, perceived to be great brand, but it's one of those brands in college football that used to be great. We are far from the great days of the USC Trojans with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and Pete Carroll on the sidelines. Those days are so far behind us. And now USC has entered a program and has entered a territory like some of these other schools that used to be great. Their fans still think they're great, and they have high expectations, but they never meet those expectations. So when Lincoln Riley elected to go to USC, it was okay. Damn good of a hire. Heck of a hire by USC. They went all out. They got their guy. And let's be real, little did he know USC was eventually going to move to the Big Ten. But I do think Oklahoma moving to the SEC scared the crap out of Lincoln Riley, which has been debated and talked about a lot. But look at the program that Lincoln Riley took over at Oklahoma when he was there. It was in a really good spot. When Lincoln Riley elected to go to USC, that first year he had success because who did he bring over? Caleb Williams. So Lincoln Riley, when he has to build, Lincoln Riley, when he has to get his hands dirty, and Lincoln Riley, when he has to take a program that has fallen off and build it back up and try to make it great, he's clearly incapable of doing that. And now maybe in this era of college football, right, you could make yourself look great one year because you hit on the transfer portal. And look at Mike Norvell, who I'm a fan of. But Mike Norvell had a similar situation, a program that has fallen. He had to build it back up. And look, last year, everyone was praising Mike Norvell and the great job that he did at Florida State. But he utilized the transfer portal. And he utilized the transfer portal in a big way. When you take a glance at Mike Norvell this year, Florida State, they could mess up a one-car funeral procession right now, if we're being serious. So USC, when you come in with Caleb Williams, when you come in with Jordan Addison, right, some of these guys that Lincoln Riley was bringing in, you could have some immediate success. But when you are too loyal to your friend who was the defensive coordinator in Grinch last year, Alex Grinch, and everyone knew that was a stupid move to bring him back bring him back to start the season, and then the middle of the season you have to get rid of him, that derailed your season. So what Lincoln Riley did was he kind of looked at a house at USC. And he looked at that house, and it needed a lot of work. But on the outside of the house, the exterior of the house, he made some quick fixes to make USC fans believe, hey, USC is back. Oh, USC is great. From the outside, it looks awesome. He patched up the windows, repainted the door. He put a shiny car in the driveway, redid the lawn. But the interior of that house is still pretty rancid. And Lincoln Riley is not a program builder. He took over a good situation at Oklahoma. He brought his luggage with him to USC. And now he's got to build. And this year, even with the good quarterback, he's building in a terrible direction and a terrible way. USC right now is 3-4. They blew a game to Michigan. They blew that game to Minnesota. They were up big up against Penn State and then choked in the second half. And I don't know what he was doing still in the final 2 minutes of that game as well. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then he just lost this game to Maryland. They are 3-4. 3-4. We're not even in a November slate yet, and they already have 4 losses. But here's the problem. USC's not getting rid of Lincoln Riley after this year because his buyout right now is over $80 million. Think about that. It's over $80 million, the buyout for Lincoln Riley. And once people jump off the bandwagon, it's tough to get them to jump back on and then have that bandwagon, if they do jump on, if you even get them to jump back on, to then smoothly drive the rest of the way. Like, look at Neil Brown at West Virginia, for example. And I'm not comparing him directly to Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley is a much better coach than Neil Brown. But heading into last year, everyone was like, Neil Brown, dead man walking, he's cooked, he's done, he's not going to be the coach this time next year. And then Neil Brown had a good season. But then a year later, people are back off, and when they jump back on the Neil Brown bandwagon, they started to feel some turbulence. The car went into a pothole, and they're like, oh, we got to jump. We got to get out of here. We got to leave. And for Lincoln Riley, right, they had the big, shiny car in the drive. Everyone's like, oh, I want to take it for a spin. It's wonderful. And now people are like, oh, that house got some problems. Oh, that car's got some problems. And you have had a mass exodus of people from the Lincoln Riley bandwagon. And maybe next year, for a year, he's able to get people, if he hits in the transfer portal, right? You could get people to jump back on, but you're not going to get enough people to jump back on and then, cruise at a good speed, at a smooth rate for many years after that. This year is the beginning of the end, maybe even last year, quite frankly, when they lost that game to Notre Dame and they lost it because of the offense. And you saw that team with Caleb Williams last year not even get to a Pac-12 championship game, not even get to the college football playoff. You had Caleb Williams there. You made one Pac-12 championship game. You didn't make the playoffs. So now we're at a point where is it really going to get that much better? And this year for USC, it has been an unmitigated disaster. Like, I even looked at USC before the start of the season, and even though I've been critical of Lincoln Riley, I at least gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said, folks, USC's not going to be really good this year. Obvious statement. But I think the expectation is so low that even if they're just average, they'll overachieve because of how many people already left the bandwagon of Lincoln Riley. But through the first 7 games of the season, oh boy, they're not even anywhere close to overachieving. And Lincoln Riley, he's got that James Franklin in him a little bit, where when you get in front of the podium, you can't just take it on the chin when you're losing. You got to make an excuse, or you got to present an image that is nowhere close to being true. You're just hoping that the sycophants actually believe you, and they genuflect and they bow down to you. But there has been some moments, chastising reporters, saying how close they are and how much they still believe that no one really actually believes in. And this is now at a point where I don't think it's a matter of if Lincoln Riley's going to get fired at USC. It's just when. And the when part, I don't think it's going to be this year because of that buyout being over $80 million. And maybe there could be a season where some people go, okay, I'm going to jump back on the bandwagon. But as the years go on, eventually that number will come down enough. And eventually there will be a point where USC says, okay, we need to make this move. But this Lincoln Riley experiment with USC, even though I wasn't all that like, hey, this guy's the greatest coach ever going in, it has been really ugly. And it's been bad. And it's been disappointing. And it's not going to consistently get better. And they've hit rock bottom right now at 3-4. And think about it. They started off week 1 with a win up against LSU. And LSU could be in the playoff this year. But since then, okay, you blew out Utah State, then you lose to Michigan, you beat Wisconsin, and then 3 straight losses. Minnesota, Penn State, and then Maryland. And we'll see what happens tomorrow night against Rutgers. Late on Friday night, we'll see what happens. Greg Schiano. Chop, 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 chop. All righty, I have a surprise for everybody today. Now, hold on. I didn't really calculate this. This may be tough to pick up. Oh, I almost just cut off my finger there for a second. I didn't know that this would make the noises right there. Hold on. I'm going to try to move this up here. See, this isn't that heavy, but when I'm sitting down, it could be heavy. So give me 1 second here, and there we go. I got a paper shredder. Zach Gelb has a paper shredder. And coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern time today, we're going to do this every week. At first, I thought, who wouldn't be playing in the Super Bowl? But then Stu gave us a good idea, because Stu comes with ideas, and I always appreciate that. It was which team won't even be in contention and which teams won't make the playoffs. So today, I will be shredding 6 teams, 6 logos that we will put in the paper shredder. And I will just try to not lose a finger. I even got a construction hat because the management team here, they said, we got your construction hat, a hard hat, because we don't trust you. I'm like, it's just paper. I go, maybe you get me some like mitts or something. Like I could look like Adam Shine when he used to do that show on CBS Sports Network with the oven mitts and the hot takes. Maybe you get me some protective gear for my fingers. But I have a paper shredder, and we'll be shredding 6 teams who will not be making the postseason this year coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern time today. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Bill Belichick, you may not know where he's coaching next year. I at least think I have an idea of what division he will be coaching in from some things that I've heard recently. Will Middlebrooks will join us coming up at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. Bryson Daily, the Army quarterback who leads the nation in rushing touchdowns, is going to join us at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time. And also, I may run something by Ack because I had an encounter on the subway today that I think if Ack was in my position, it would have maybe killed Ack. So we'll get to that coming up later. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Manny Rodriguez, whenever he's here, he really does distract me because of one thing and one thing only. And I forgot. See, this is a me thing. Being the leader of this dysfunctional show, I should have hidden something that distracts Manny, but I forgot about it. And Manny looked kind of normal today. He looked kind of calm today. So I didn't think he was in one of those moods that sometimes Manny Rodriguez could get in. And hello to Manny's Instagram followers. I know this is going to wind up on Manny's Instagram story in about like 30 seconds. But Manny has this baseball bat, this wiffle ball bat here in the studio. And you know what, Manny? I never noticed the wiffle ball bat, which you will hold up and you will sometimes swing. But my old man once said to me one day, when you were like first working on the show, he was like, who's the guy that was filling in for Stuart Samter today? He couldn't stop moving. Like the whole show, you're moving, and he goes, he had a wiffle ball bat in his hand. So you know when someone says something that you have not seen, and it just hasn't registered in your brain? But then once that person, my father, said it to me, every time you work with us, I notice that wiffle ball bat. And to start the show today, you didn't have the wiffle ball bat, but then I'm like taking some notes, doing some things, sending out some emails during the break, and I look up, and Manny Rodriguez getting swings in like he's playing for the Yankees tomorrow night in Los Angeles for the World Series.
Nervous energy, that's what it is. Nervous energy for my Yankees. Get out, go get a Game 1 win. That's what it is.
Okay. So, Manny, I feel like that bat to you is what a binky is to a baby. That's what I think it is. It kind of calms you down.
It does. It's like my fidget spinner. I just love swinging this thing. Makes me feel powerful.
Maybe we should get you one of those for the holiday season this year.
What, a wiffle ball bat?
No, a fidget spinner.
I have like 7 of them in my house.
Do you?
Yeah.
You do? I feel like you were a big Rubik's Cube guy.
Oh, I could not do that at all. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not.
Like when you guys went on a road trip What did your parents do to you to get you to like shut up? Like, what would they give to you to just kind of distract you on the road?
So back in the day, we didn't have the built-in TVs into the back of the headrest.
Yeah.
So we bought tiny little like 10-inch screens that we would put onto the back of the headrest, kind of like Velcro it up. Put a DVD player in the middle. That's how my parents got me and my brother to shut up and stop fighting during trips to Florida.
Now, Stu, you would drive to Florida?
Oh yeah, we would do that drive.
Oh, jeez, that's miserable. The farthest I've ever had to drive, Philadelphia to South Bend, Indiana. When I was calling a Notre Dame game, and I was in college, a Notre Dame Temple game, and they said, hey, you guys drive, you're not going to fly. That was miserable, that drive. Fun time going to South Bend and being able to call a game, at that legendary stadium. And also, our call letters in college were WHIP, and the big station in Philly is WIP. So they thought we were the professional broadcast team, the radio team, and they put us on the 45-yard line. I forget who was doing the games at the time. Alex Flanagan was a sideline reporter who I had like a massive crush on growing up as a kid. So we were right next to the NBC booth, which was pretty cool. And the guys that were doing the game on 97.5 The Fanatic in Philadelphia were on the 20-yard line in the student radio booth. So that was really something. But anyway, like on a trip like that, I was a college kid, so, I was driving, I was, eating like beef jerky and things like that. I didn't need to be distracted. Beef jerky is a great road trip snack. There's no doubt about it. But Stu, you're an only child, right?
Yes.
So there's no way your parents just talk to you on like a road trip for like 6 hours. What would they do to kind of distract you and get some away time from Stu?
Game Boy Color.
Oh, yeah. See, that's easy. PSP was also like a big thing. I created a show player in PSP. Road to the Show, Major League Show. What was it?
MLB The Show.
MLB The Show. Thank you. I appreciate it. And sometimes the disc would scratch.
It would skip you a little bit.
Yeah, and then it would ruin. I created a player, and you had to work yourself up all the way from the minor leagues, which is a really tedious thing. Like, just put you in major leagues right away. Like, that would be my participation trophy moment. I don't want to put in the work of single A and double A and triple A. Really obnoxious. But I remember I got to the big leagues, and then I created this player that was like Barry Bonds, pretty much. And I had the all-time home run record. And then the disc scratched. Got to be careful when I say that. That was like almost a bulging you-know-what moment. But I had the disc that scratched. And then my player was ruined. That was a horrifying moment. And you know what as well? It really wasn't that funny, Manny. Like, I know I'm a little bit funny, but I'm not that funny. But when I was playing, it was either 2K or Madden. I forget which one when I was growing up as a kid. And my best friend Alex and I, we created this player. And it was like every Wednesday or Thursday, we would go to his house because we created it on his Xbox or PlayStation, whatever it was. And we created this player. And the player was so good and then suffered a career-ending injury. And it said fatal injury. So he died, which I didn't even know was possible in a video game. And we were in 7th grade. We were devastated. We created this player, spent so much time, every Thursday, 4 or 5 seasons in, he's really good, and then career-ending injury. And it just said fatal injury. Which I didn't even know there was a possibility to be programmed like that in a video game. Or 7th or 8th grade.
Who coded that?
Mortifying. Absolutely mortified. So that was scary. But anyway, my mom did once, and it was a smart move by her. I guess my sister and I were fighting on a road trip. I think we were going to Maine. And my mom goes, I'm thinking of a number 1 through 200. So my sister and I are sitting there, and we're guessing every number. And she's like, I'll tell you when you guys say the number. And we went through every number, and she goes, oops, made a mistake. It was actually 201, the number I was thinking of. Which at the moment, we were like, Mom, how stupid are you? Like how could you do that? But clearly, little did we know, that was intentional, just get us to shut up and stop fighting about whatever we were fighting about. All righty, let me play you a little Jerry Jones. This is on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. He takes a shot at the offense and the coaching staff. This was on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas with our buddies, Sean and RJ.
The types of things that we all think we should be looking at is, well, we're designing bad plays or we're designing bad concepts. the facts are that there's some of that.
So that's a direct shot at the coaching staff. But Jerry Jones, like, this may be wrong to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't even know if he knows what he's saying anymore. Like last week, I said, oh, he's contriving all this stuff. This is all in the drama playbook. I don't even think he realized what he was saying there. And I know some people will say, hey, that's not an excuse, blah, 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 blah. But that has crossed my mind with Jerry Jones. But this is the same guy before the start of the season. By the way, with the coach, Mike McCarthy, in the final year of his contract. And he was talking about Bill Belichick and how much he could work with Bill Belichick. And I was Jerry. And then John Mara, you see, even though the Cowboys are in a better spot right now than the Giants, John Mara, who has not been this great owner, he has at least found a way to eliminate the distraction of, okay, will Daboll and Shane be fired in season, or will they be brought back after this season? So this was the quote John Mara gave the other day via our buddy Pat Leonard. Obviously, we're all very disappointed with where we are right now, but I'm going to say one thing. We are not making any changes this season, and I do not anticipate making any changes in the offseason either. So that statement, because I like Pat, but Pat has had a few incidents with Brian Daboll, which he's just doing his job, where he's asking Daboll about his job status. So what that does is that eliminates, even though you could still ask it, but the Giants having to take it seriously. Because they already said, hey, our owner said we're good for this year, and they don't anticipate any changes at the end of the season. Now, anticipate is a very peculiar word to use there. Like, I don't anticipate buying dinner for Manny Rodriguez tonight. No offense. Sorry, Manny. But it doesn't mean that I would 100% not buy Manny dinner. Like, if Manny did something so incredible and so outstanding from now until 6 p.m. Eastern time, which the odds of that happening are extremely low, minuscule, if I'm being honest, that could change something. So if the Giants continue to be, it's one thing to be bad, it's a different thing to be embarrassing. Like, I don't think the Giants, they wanted to fire Joe Judge, but the Giants became embarrassing with Joe Judge in that second year. So if Daboll and Shane are just bad, I think they'll be back next year. But if they're embarrassing and it's a clown show, then even though if he wasn't anticipating firing Shane and Daboll, then they could be out. But either way, the Commanders are in a good spot. The Eagles, I don't trust Sirianni. The Cowboys, we know Jerry Jones would love to bring in Bill Belichick. And the Giants have great ties with Bill Belichick. I really do believe that the hoodie Bill Belichick is going to be in the NFC East. I don't know which team, but I think he's going to be in the NFC East next season. Now, Ak, let me ask you something real quickly because I thought of you today.
Uh-oh.
And then I'll take a break. We were talking about the subway the other day and the problems in New York City with the subway. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking the subway in today, and then I walk home. That's my routine.
Good way to go.
So when I'm taking the subway in today, a guy comes up to me on the platform, and he goes, hey, is this the train to get to 59th Street? And I go, yes, it is. So I didn't think much of it. And he was in a suit, nothing where, obviously there was going to be a problem or something. Yes. And then, as I'm getting on the subway, he goes, can you help me with my cufflink? And I'm like, no. I don't know who you are. I don't want to, touch you. But, it was such an awkward situation. The guy looked like he needed help. And he almost, forced me to help him. So I'm like, oh, the subway's coming. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping, okay, I move over to the next subway cart, and he comes in right on the next subway cart and sits right down next to me. He goes, I forgot my cufflinks at home. He has a paper clip. And he just shoves his arm right there and is making me paper clip his what would have been his cufflink.
Yeah, there was something going on there.
I just felt violated. Because, I didn't want to have to touch somebody else that I have no clue where you've been. If you were, an attractive female, different story. But you're some Joe Schmo on the subway.
If you forgot your cufflink at home, you go back home and get your cufflink. You don't use a paper clip.
Yeah. It was really crazy.
Plus, what New Yorker, I was thinking, well, maybe he was a tourist, but...
I think he may have been.
Yeah, but that's still kind of, if you're...
And you know what annoyed me? He didn't even say thank you.
There you go.
I said, hey, you're 9 stops away. I helped him with his stupid paper clip with the cufflink. Didn't even say thank you. Just kept it moving. So something was off there.
That's not good.
I got here, Ak. right to the bathroom. I washed my hands, soap water again, dried them, soap water again, probably for 10 minutes.
I think if I was a tourist, I don't think I would have the nerve to do that.
Just roll up your sleeves.
Yeah.
Come on. How serious is this job interview? All righty. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, World Series champ does a great job. CBS Sports HQ. Will Middlebrooks will join us to preview the Fall Classic. Update time. Here is Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, the Rams host the Vikings to open Week 8. L.A. has struggled out of the gate with a 2-4 record with trade rumors swirling around the team. Some are focused on Cooper Kupp, who returns tonight from an ankle injury. Minnesota was off to a terrific start and was the last unbeaten team in the NFC until Sunday. The perfect record went by the wayside when the Lions connected on a late field goal. Sam Darnold tonight returns to Southern California, where he grew up and starred, and is looking forward to a chance to get back into the win column.
Challenging week for us. Obviously a great LA team. Sam just told me too. I'm excited to go home for the first time with fans in attendance. I went back in 2020. Just excited to play these guys. Another really great opportunity for us to go and play a really good defense, a really good team.
Darnold's Rams counterpart, Matthew Stafford, threw for only 154 yards last week. Puka Nacua also reportedly expected back tonight. 4 games on the NBA schedule. The defending champions Celtics rolling in their season opener. They're in Washington while the Mavericks host the Spurs in the Battle of Texas. The Thunder are in Denver after a huge step forward last year. And the Timberwolves try to recover from their opening night loss when they meet the Kings in Sacramento. I'm Rich Eck.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us. The Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call. 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by the new 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid that has class-leading advanced safety features like the available blind spot view monitor to make your ride more enjoyable. The World Series commences tomorrow evening with the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the New York Yankees. You may have heard about this matchup with Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. I also don't want to forget about Juan Soto and Mookie Betts. But now joining us is a man that knows what it's like to win a World Series. He did so with the Boston Red Sox in 2013. Does a great job calling the Red Sox games now and also being a part of CBS Sports HQ. And that's our pal, Will Middlebrooks. Will, how you been?
What's going on, man? Hey, sorry about that, the cufflink issue there. That was, that's a tough deal, huh?
Yeah, it was dysfunctional. It was a mess. You know what it reminded me of? Kind of like your Cowboys.
Listen, I can hang up really quickly. It's a push of a button, Zach.
That'd be a good headline. Will Middlebrooks
Let's get to baseball.
hangs up
Here we
on
go.
Zach Gelb. Your Cowboys, man, Belichick going to be coaching them next year, right? Is that what you think?
God, I don't know. Whatever it does, I know we don't want to talk football here, but they got to get an offensive line, number one. Everybody wants to yell at Dak, but he is running for his life every time he hits his third step in his drop back. It's crazy.
All righty. I won't kill you on the Cowboys that much. Let's get to your
my palms are
expertise.
sweating right now.
Yeah. Let's get on the baseball a little bit. All right, let's do a little happy moment here, Will Middlebrooks. 2013. Obviously, Bobby Valentine no longer being the manager was huge. We know also what the city, unfortunately, did go through. That just felt like a team of destiny in 2013. How do you look back at your team that won it all?
I look back very fortunate to be a part of that group. I mean, I was the young pup. I was 24 years old that season in my second year in the big leagues, surrounded by Big Papi, Mike Napoli, Dustin Pedroia, Jacoby Ellsbury. I mean, the list goes on and on. Johnny Gomes. I mean, these guys who just been around forever. And luckily they brought me in with open arms and basically told me in spring training, hey, bud, by the way, we're going to win a World Series. And I swear to you, these were the conversations had in March. We're going to win a World Series. We're not going to treat you like a young guy unless you prove to us that we can't treat you like you belong here because we need you. I mean, I was a starting third baseman that year until, injuries happened and ended up being the job for Xander Bogaerts there in the World Series. and he went on to have a pretty good career. So I don't feel too bad about that. But I was lucky enough to be around a group of guys that really molded not only the way I went about the rest of my career, the way I would lead guys in a clubhouse, but the way I would just be a man and a father and a husband. And I was really lucky to be around that group that I had.
Yeah, when you're around an all-time great player like David Ortiz, and you know what the Dodgers have with Ohtani and Betts, and the Yankees with Soto and Judge, what does that do for the other guys, like a guy like yourself who was still trying to find his way when you just know, hey, when this guy's up, he's finding a way to come through?
Yeah, so it started behind the scenes, and watching his work ethic and his routine in the cage and the way he watched video and the way he was the hardest worker I've ever seen. And everyone has this idea that he was just this larger-than-life, lazy slob of a human being that could just roll out of bed and hit. Brother, this guy worked, and he might have looked like he was fat, but if you touched him, it was like I'm telling you, rock solid. He was always in the gym. He was always in the training room. He was always working on his body. He was always eating the right things once he got into the point in his career where I was playing with him. And that's why he did what he did when he was 40 years old with that many homers. But just going in the cage and watching him, it was like magic, man. He was like a machine. Like he would put the ball on the tee, 10 in the back left corner, boom, 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 all in like a 3-foot area. He'd go to the right side, boom, 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 over and over and over again. He was like a machine. And I remember asking him, like, where did you get this? And he said, Manny Ramirez taught me everything I need to know as far as a routine, building an approach, a work ethic. And then he just took it and ran with it from there. Obviously, God-given talent, but my goodness, he worked hard. And then for the young guys, that would just rub off on us, and it wasn't just him. That's the beauty of that team you had guys like Dustin Pedroia who were 5'2", right, in spikes, and then he's got a Rookie of the Year and an MVP in his back pocket, by the way. He's always been the guy who had to go 120% to just survive, and he turned into a big league all-star every year. But you just have guys like that where you can just sit back and watch as a young guy and be a sponge and say, that's how you do stuff around here. If I don't work like that, I'm gone.
Man, that's 5'2" for Pedroia. I know you
that
say that with some sarcasm.
Because
the guy's 5'9".
He's listed at 5'9". I saw you looking that up too.
I did because I'm like, when you say 5'2", I know he's not 5'2". But I want to see how far off you were. Yeah, he's probably 5'7", 5'7", right?
5'7.5". We'll
say.
I'll tell this quick story. So we're in New York playing, and when you could overshift, he would go into shallow right field, and I would go to second base. And there was this guy just yelling at him. I mean, pounding him for innings. Just Teixeira, like they had some big lefties that would come up, and we would overshift. McCann, all those guys. And this guy, I don't know if I could say this word, but they were calling him a little person. I'll stick with that.
Okay, gotcha.
Now. And over and over again. And finally, he made a diving play like down the line, threw Teixeira at first and stood out and said, I'm only a blank he said, I'm not a blank when I'm standing on my wallet. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the biggest. He's such a good trash talker on top of the ball player he was.
Will Middlebrooks here with us. What do you expect from the pitchers tomorrow night, the starters with Garrett Cole and Jack Flaherty?
I'm a little confused on Flaherty. Now Dave Roberts told me, or not told me, he told the media that Flaherty was under the weather in his last start, where his fastball velocity was down 2 full miles an hour. The stuff wasn't sharp. I mean, he gave up 8 runs in 3 innings. So, I mean, that spoke for itself. His stuff was not sharp. So I'm a little worried there. The rest is going to help, obviously. Garrett Cole's got to be Garrett Cole. I don't care what he did in the regular season. I don't care about what injuries he dealt with and coming back with and inconsistencies and blah, blah, blah. It's the World Series, and you're the ace of the New York Yankees, and you got to go be that. Now, he doesn't have to go 7 shutout innings. He doesn't have to, but you got to give him at least 5 solid innings, and you're going to turn the ball over to a very good bullpen that is rested, right? You don't want to have to blow out your bullpen game 1, game 2, because it's a long series. This is likely going at least 6 games, hopefully 7 for all of us fans of baseball. But I expect Garrett Cole to be good. I do. And I expect that bullpen, I really, it's going under the radar, and not many people are talking about it as much now because Clay Holmes' last 2 games didn't go great. Gave up the homer and then give up 2 runs in his last outing. But he's been really good in that 6th, 7th inning leverage spot. They bring him in. They took him obviously out of the closer role because of his issues and because Luke Weaver's been so good. But I think turning a ball over to him in like the 6th inning to get 3 outs, you're in a good spot.
There's so many great players in this series. It starts with Ohtani and Judge. Obviously, there's Mookie Betts and Juan Soto. Giancarlo Stanton is an animal right now at the plate. I know Freddie Freeman is banged up. Who's the player when you walk into this series that Will Middlebrooks has the most confidence in?
Juan Soto. No doubt. No doubt Juan Soto. I mean, his at-bats he's had are like all-world at-bats. And I'm not just talking about the last one against Hunter Gaddis where he hit the home run to send the Yankees to the World Series. This guy has an at-bat like that all the time. That one stands out because it won the game for him and sent him to the Classic, Fall Classic, right? So he's special. And I think, as I'm looking at their lineup and I'm looking at Aaron Judge, who I think needs to perform here, obviously, for them to win this series, I'm taking Austin Wells out of that 5 spot, or after Judge, wherever that is, 4 or 5 spot, and I'm putting Giancarlo Stanton there, right? I'm going to go Glaber, Soto, Judge, Stanton. You got to protect Judge because, to his defense, he hasn't gotten a lot to hit. Like, these guys have been nibbling because they're not scared to walk him and bring up Austin Wells, who has 1 hit or so in the postseason, right? He was great all year for a young guy. Offensively, defensively, he looked like a veteran, but he has not been good in the postseason. Why would you put that behind one of your best hitters who's trying to get traction, who has a history of 154 in his last 30 postseason games? Why would you make it harder on him to not get good pitches to hit? Put Stanton behind him. I don't care about the lefty-righty BS. I get it in the regular season. I get the analytics and the metrics of it, of relievers coming in and having to face 3 guys. It doesn't matter. At this point, put power behind power and have it be the gauntlet for whoever comes in the game for the Dodgers is going to have their hands full.
Is Soto definitely back with the Yankees next year?
No.
Where do you think he's going?
And listen, I'm a Red Sox guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it kills me to say this, but he looks so good in pinstripes. Like, he just looks like a Yankee, man. I mean, he's got the short porch. I get that, but he uses the whole field. He brings a different feel to that lineup because for so long, they were such a one-dimensional offense. We're looking at guys, home run, strikeout, or walk. That was it. And now you got guys, even Verdugo, like, he didn't have a great year, but he plays good defense. He sees pitches. He takes his walks. Glaber, obviously, once he got moved to the leadoff spot, was so much better in September and now October. Are they going to re-sign Glaber? I kind of feel like he's played himself into re-signing. It's going to be hard to let him go if he keeps playing this way and it leads to a World Series because he's been a really big catalyst for their offense. Let's be honest. But as far as Soto goes, it's going to be a hard time taking him away from the Mets. I think the Mets got a real shot there. I think they got a lot of money coming off the books. I think, I don't know. Like I said, he looks good in pinstripes. I would hate to see him in pinstripes. But I think it's a coin flip right now between both New York teams.
All righty, I got about 45 seconds here, Will Middlebrooks, before I let you run. Who wins the World Series and why?
All right, I'm gonna go Yankees in 7.
Wow. Okay.
I want to say that. I do want to say this. I do want to say this. As much as we'll focus on the big names and who makes the big plays in the big moments, pay attention to the small intricacies of baseball because the small things of this game won't necessarily win you games, but they will lose you games, especially in big moments like this. So sometimes fundamental baseball matters. So it's hitting your cutoff man and keeping the double play in order. It's hitting behind runners and moving guys over. There's more small ball played, even by these clubs like this that are full of stars in big games because each run matters so much. So these guys are professionals, and it doesn't really stand out as much how good they are at the fundamentals, only when they make a bonehead play like Jazz getting picked off at second in a big spot. Like things like that will lose you games. So whoever makes the least amount of mistakes, as easy as that sounds to say, is going to win this series. But I lean Yankees here. It's going to be a great series, hopefully an all-time great for the fans watching.
When I thought you said pay attention to the small things, I thought that was another jab at Pedroia for a second, if I'm being honest.
No. Look, he's built like a 5th grader, but he has got the confidence of Shaquille O'Neal.
Will Middlebrooks, CBS Sports HQ, does the games up in Boston as well. Will, appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Zach.
There you go. Will Middlebrooks joining us. Great stuff previewing the Fall Classic. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. 6 teams are going in the paper shredder next. 6 teams that will not make the postseason this year in the National Football League. Ow!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
The paper shredder is in the building. I'll sound like my guy Stu Feiner. The paper shredder is here. It's here. Man, they got me a paper shredder. So we're going to shred some teams. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And I do have this construction hat on, but the construction hat needs some construction. Like, give me a construction hat. It's not even a proper construction hat. I look like, who's the dude, Stu, again? Who was it, the Great Kazoo or whatever his name was? Whatever that guy was. In the Jetsons? I'm pretty sure it was the name of the show. That's what I look like if the hat was just green. But anyway, I got my big fancy paper shredder. Manny, you gotta like this thing, right? It's a good paper shredder. Got any documents you want to get rid of?
I don't, but I think you might have some teams that you might want to get rid of, right?
I do, yeah. We'll get to that. Like, we don't have to go right to it.
All right,
Bryson Daily is going to join us coming up at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time from the Army football team, which is undefeated to start off the season and is 23rd right now in the country. I am Zach the Builder. I saw Two-Tone Tony said he looked like Bob the Builder. So we got some teams to shred right here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I think we're going to do this maybe once a week, potentially every other week. It's whenever I feel compelled to shred a group of teams. So what we're shredding are teams' playoff chances. So this is the first time we're doing this. So we will go to 6 teams today, and only 6 teams. And I'll put the team up there on our high-budget operation, by the way, which are just team logos. That's it. Black and white, because we don't have color printers around here. I don't know why. And whenever I make the decision on that team, if they survive to another week, I'll just discard their logo to my left. But if I put it into the paper shredder to my right, they're donezo. Now, I got a note here from Matt Weller, who's our office manager. He goes, the boss, Chris Oliveira, was very concerned about this segment because they thought you may lose a finger here. So they had to run it by corporate, actually. I kid you not. They had to run this by corporate, and corporate said I did not have to wear gloves or any protective wear, but they did give me this hat just to look like an idiot. So that's pretty much the way that we're doing things. All righty, here we go. First team up, the Carolina Panthers. Quite frankly, we probably could have said the Carolina Panthers season was over before it even started. Unfortunately, Andy Dalton got in the car accident. Now Bryce Young is going to be starting again. It doesn't matter. The Carolina Panthers are an inept organization. They do not have enough talent. They don't have a quarterback right now. And the defensive side of the ball, Derek Brown out for the season. Their linebacker, Shaq, is done for the season as well. This team just stinks. Even in a NFC South that has 2 decent teams, but it was kind of there for the taking. The Carolina Panthers are absolutely screwed. They are going in the paper shredder. Now, hold on a second. Where's the top of this paper shredder? There it is. Hold on. Here we go. Let's shred this sucker. There we go. The Panthers are in the paper shredder. They're done. I apologize to my guys, Mac and Bone, on WFNZ. Because each and every year they go on WFNZ on their popular morning radio program. And they try to talk themselves into why the Carolina Panthers aren't going to be a dysfunctional mess. And I do that hit with them every Friday in football season at 9:20 or 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and maybe actually 9:25. You know, the last 3 years have been very good about remembering the time. This year I've been at the gym. I've been sleeping. I've just been all over the place. For some reason, I can't remember when I'm supposed to go on with Mac and Bone this year. But after week 1, they were like, yep, Gelby, you were right. And I had them winning actually week 1. And I got blown out. I think it was up against the Saints. They were like, Gelby, this team's going nowhere. All right. Talking about a team that's going nowhere. The Tennessee Titans. They don't believe in their quarterback. I know they've sat down Will Levis because of the injury. They just got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Calvin Ridley is there all by himself. I know you got Tony Pollard, but this team just stinks. And whenever the coach hates the quarterback, that is misery for sure. The Tennessee Titans say goodbye to your playoff chances, and you are going in the paper shredder. Come on, shred, let's go. I usually don't struggle with this because I'm a tall human being. I'm not like Dustin Pedroia, another shot that Will Middlebrooks was leaving. But this paper shredder is so high up and my chair is so low, I am having a hard time finding where the paper goes in. I had to be very careful how I was going to say that because that could have sounded very sexual, and I did not want Manny Rodriguez to use any drops against me. All righty. How about them Cowboys? The drama, Dallas choking Cowboys. What was that noise? Why did you already start to put them in the paper shredder? You don't know what I'm doing here, Manny Rodriguez.
That was just my personal touch. Personal editorial.
Yeah, you can't stand the Cowboys.
I cannot.
But here's the problem. You're a Giants fan.
That's right.
The Giants stink.
Oh, I'm well aware.
The Cowboys are not getting shredded today. They are not in the circle of trust. They are inching closer and closer and closer to the paper shredder, but they are not there yet. Let's see what happens a few weeks from now. The Cowboys are an okay team. They are not a great team. They're not a trash team, but an okay team this year can make the postseason. So Dallas fans, Jerry Jones, you don't have to call up Odyssey and try to get me fired. We are not putting you in the paper shredder yet. We put the Cowboys down for now. Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. They move the ball from goal to goal, go marching 1, 2, 3. I think that's a song. It's been a while. But the Dolphins are getting Tua Tagovailoa back. And even though Miami is coached by an overrated coach in Mike McDaniel, having Tua Tagovailoa back is massive. Even though he's not great and he's just good, but he's paid like he's an elite quarterback, having Tua Tagovailoa back is big because the other 2 or 3 guys that were trying to throw the football in Miami were so incompetent that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle had like 1 or 2 catches this past weekend. So getting Tua back is going to put lipstick on the pig of the Miami Dolphins, and it will save them from going into the paper shredder from now. So the Dolphins' playoff hopes still alive. All righty.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
Stu, can I get a Raiders chant from you? I've never heard you do a Raiders chant.
Raiders.
Huh. Usually when I hear that, it's coming from, like, drunk people.
Yeah.
So when you do that, it just kind of sounded sad there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm a sad Raiders fan.
Like, you got to have a little more, like, of a baritone sound, I feel like, when you do that. Or a drunk sound to you.
I don't.
Like,
yeah.
Raiders. I sound like an old man that had, like, a back issue, and he's like, oh! That's what I sounded like. All right, Manny, can I get your Raider chant there?
All I have to do is say Raiders?
You got to just go, they go like this. Ready? Raiders. Right, Stu? That's how they do it.
That's how you do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Raiders. Was that all right?
Kind of sucked.
Yeah, well, this is why I'm an East Coast guy.
The Raiders stink, okay? They don't have a quarterback. Max Crosby should be traded for saving Max Crosby because for some reason he gives blind loyalty to this organization. But I'm in a giving mood today. Even though the Raiders got rid of Devontae Adams, I just want to be nice to my team. The Raiders will be in the paper shredder absolutely the next time we do this segment. But the first time we do this segment, I do not want to ruin the hopes and dreams of Stuart Kovacs. Because Stu still goes to bed at night. And before he puts on his onesie before he gets into bed and has a little sippy cup with milk and he has some cookies that Angie makes him, he goes, I still believe in the Raiders. There's still a chance. There is still a chance the Raiders are going to be good this year. So I don't want to ruin Stu's hopes and dreams. I'm going to be careful how I say this on the radio because I know there's a lot of young kids listening. There's a holiday where people think something is real. I don't want to be the guy that tells you it isn't real, okay? When it comes to presents. So I don't want to be the guy that tells Stu, hey, this isn't going to happen, at least for this week. I will eventually be the Grinch that stole Stumas coming up in about a week. But right now, Stu, I'm a nice guy. You need to pick me up. You still have hope. Very little hope. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They stink. I feel bad for Doug Peterson. I do. Good guy, but he's going to lose his job with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were playing the Patriots last week, and their incompetent coach right now in Gerard Mayo. So one incompetent team beat another incompetent team. You're still an incompetent team. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going in the paper shredder. All right, Manny. See, you're not on this show full time. So I don't have to work with you all the time.
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
your football team, the New York Football Giants. Can I just ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
Because this will determine if I put the team in the paper shredder or not.
Oh, God.
Are you working with us tomorrow?
No.
You're not?
No.
Why not?
Ask our higher ups. I don't know.
You're not scheduled with us tomorrow?
Negative, Ghost
Who do I
Rider.
got tomorrow, Stu? Do we know?
Nico.
Oh, okay. We got an upgrade.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, come run the board then now.
I can. Hey, there was once a time I ran the board, hosted the show, sold the advertisements, and screened the phone calls while I was on the air. I'd play an audio clip. Hey, it's Zach Gelb. It's Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. What's your name? And then
South
put them
Jersey
right on
days.
hold. Yep. So, trust me. I could run the board if I needed to and host the show. I shouldn't probably say that out loud because the management will probably come to me and say, well, eliminate a position.
Please don't do that.
So you know what? I cannot run the board. I am terrible at running the board. Absolutely terrible. I would be firing off all the wrong audio. I wouldn't know how to turn the microphones on. This is how the show would sound like if I was running the board. See, you couldn't hear anything for about 2-3 seconds right there. So, the Giants. Yikes. I'm trying to find a reason to uplift Manny Rodriguez. Manny, any last words before I shred the Giants? Anything that could save their season?
Jalen Brunson. Oh,
what? I can't even find the slot
No,
here.
you can't. This is embarrassing now.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to stand up.
This might be worse than the Giants' offensive
Hold on.
performances.
You're going to see a lot of midsection right here.
Oh, dear.
Any last words to save the Giants? Any last words, Manny?
Not at all.
Why not? You don't want to save them?
No,
I still
dude,
can't find them.
No.
You sure?
Yes.
No last words?
I'm good.
You done? You're not watching? You're a Bills fan again?
None of that is true.
Shut up! We're shredding you. Shred! Shred!
There we go.
The Patriots. See, I got someone say this to me. Oh, that was a long shred in the Giants. I think that was shredding like the last 2 or 3 seasons, if I'm being honest.
Thank you, Zach.
The Patriots. Someone said, oh, will Zach shred his own team's logo? I love the Patriots. I love the New England Patriots, but they suck. So anyone thought that this team was good heading into this season, I want to know what drugs you are on. The offensive line's terrible. They have no wide receivers. They have someone at quarterback in Drake May that looks like they could be a good quarterback in this league. But Gerard Mayo right now, here's my biggest problem with him. A lot of times he's putting his foot in his mouth. That's one issue. But number 2, the biggest problem I have outside of putting the foot in the mouth is this. That defense last year was solid. And he was on the staff. You take Bill Belichick out, a lot of the players are the same, and the defense stinks. So let me see if I could get it right here. The Patriots in the paper. What happened? It started to shred and then it stopped. Did this run out of battery?
Oh, no.
It's plugged in. Let's see. The paper shredder's broken. Oh, no, it's not. I think I need a desk next time. Like just a side desk so we could do the paper shredder correctly. This is getting tough. The Cleveland Browns. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Nope. We're shredding the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are going in the paper shredder. And then finally, the New York Jets. All right, let's go around the room here. You think I'm shredding them or not? This is to miss the playoffs. They will not be a playoff team. Yes or no?
Shredded.
Stu, what are we going with?
I think they're very close, but no shred.
Yeah. I'm going to put them aside for now. Aside for now. I don't think the Jets are any good. I think the Jets are a bad football team. Their defense is vastly overrated. Devontae Adams comes in and he's chewing everybody out. Aaron Rodgers is banged up, playing on one leg. Garrett Wilson dropping balls left and right. And Breece Hall's too inconsistent. And Jeff Ulbrich is worse than Robert Saleh. But the Jets are a circus. I enjoy a dysfunctional circus. Some may say a dysfunctional segment like what we're doing right now because I'm in preseason mode. I didn't have an off season. I'm like Hassan Reddick. I'm walking in a few weeks late. That was pretty good. I'm walking in a few weeks late, and I'm trying to perform at the highest level. So I will work on my paper shredding abilities, and I will give the Jets a pass for one more week. One more week. One more week. One more week for the JTS, Jets. All righty. So to not make the playoffs, already eliminated, Patriots, Browns, Titans, Panthers, Giants, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will see who we shred next week. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Bryson Daily, the Army quarterback, will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Alrighty, we continue. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Army is ranked 23rd in the country. The Black Knights are 7-0, and their QB is Bryson Daily, who had 6 total touchdowns against ECU, and he also leads the nation in rushing touchdowns this year, and Bryson is kind enough to join us right now. Bryson, first off, congratulations on your success. We appreciate the time, and how you been?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you for having me on. We're doing great right now. We're just trying to get ready for Air Force.
Yeah, so your season so far, 629 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns. I mentioned, right, you lead the nation in rushing with 19 rushing touchdowns, and you have 909 rushing yards. For you individually, I know you're a team guy, obviously, but how do you put your individual season in perspective so far?
Yeah, I think it's gone well. There's still stuff I left out there that I wish I could have back. A lot more yards to be gained. A couple, missed passes here and there, missed runs here and there. But the guys around me blocking it up really well, and I've been able to make some plays. So it's been really good for the offense and the team.
You've taken a big jump from last year to this year. We had a good season last year, but now you've become kind of a national star, and you're getting all this Heisman hype as well. Just how do you explain the jump and how you got better from last year to this year?
Yeah, I think just as a whole unit, we got a lot better. And that, Trent, that comes over to my stats and a lot of the other guys' stats as well. You look at our team as a whole, like we're leading the nation in rushing. We're very efficient in the pass game. And that just comes from, a lot of things that happen in the offseason and just guys really coming together and playing well. But it's pretty wild, the difference in media attention from this year to last year. That's been crazy. I think guys have been handling well, though. Not listening to everything and just keeping focused on what really matters.
So now you're on these Heisman lists. What is that like for you? I'm sure it's an award, obviously, that you followed growing up as a kid, and now your name is getting mentioned as potentially being a finalist in New York City in December.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. I still can't believe it anytime I see it. It's pretty crazy, but it's an honor, and it's a true testament to what we're doing here in this program, in this place. And the guys around me, they must be playing pretty dang well to have me in the discussion at all. So it's an honor, and it's really good for this program.
Have you let your mind go there? What it would be like to be sitting down and they say, and the Heisman Trophy goes to, and you're a finalist and one of the guys that are there that could potentially win the award? Have you thought about that?
You think about it all the time, growing up as a college football fan, you dream of being in those spots. But I try not to think about it too much. I'm really a, 1 week at a time type guy, and that's what this team is. That's our mentality. So I'm trying not to think too far ahead to anything like that. But I think every college football player as a kid, being a fan, has thought of those moments and, thought it'd be pretty cool.
When you were making your decision on where to go and spend your college career and go play football, what led Bryson Daily to Army?
It was a bigger decision than football. It's a great education. It is big time football. It's an opportunity to serve my country. And this is a very special place. And I witnessed that on my visit, fell in love with the guys that were here, the coaches, and just everything that this place stands for. And I fell in love with that, and it was an easy decision once I came up and saw it. And the opportunity to play big time football was also a big selling point as well.
Do you have like your family any military background? Just wondering.
No, a great grandpa was in World War II, and never met him, but that's it. No military experience, so that was definitely a lot of eye-opening experiences when I got here, and there still is to this day. But no military family.
Yeah, what have you learned really about yourself then the last few years? Because that's an incredible like growing up process that you're going through.
100%. I'm a different, I'm a different guy than I was when I got here. Really changes you from a boy to a man. The school in general, this program. There's so many transformations. You learn a lot about yourself, and I think I'm a better man for it because I came here, and I thank God every day that I'm here.
Bryson Daily here with us. I just have so much respect for you and obviously everyone that's on your football team because we know what you guys do on the field, but then off the field, just absolutely tremendous. So with that being said, like kind of take me through the daily life of one Bryson Daily. Like what is the daily schedule like? What is a normal day for you these days?
Yeah, so a normal day, we wake up about 6:30. We make sure our uniform of the day is looking good. We go to formation. They count us off, make sure we're all there and alive, I guess. Then we go to breakfast, all 4,000 cadets eat in about 15 minutes, in and out. And then we go to breakfast from about 8 to noon. And then we come up here, and from 1 to about 7:30, 8, we're up here, doing football stuff, and then get some homework, a little bit of homework done that you can, and then get to bed as early as possible and do it all again the next day.
Does it make practice a little bit easier?
Yeah, practice is like kind of the escape and something, get to do something you love with your brothers, your best friends. So yeah, practice is that escape, and it's the fun part of the day.
And I've had a chance throughout the years to talk to Coach Monk, and we usually get a chance to talk to him before Army plays Navy, which we could actually see twice this year. We'll get to that in just a second. But what do you love so much about Coach Monken?
He's the same guy every day. He's the most consistent person I've ever been around, and that's great for having a leader like that, because what you're going to get, and he's going to hold you to a standard, and he's going to keep the team consistent as well. So he's an awesome leader for us. He really sets the culture of being tough, being consistent, and it's awesome that we have him leading us.
For what you just said, with not much military background, obviously outside the grandfather, obviously you said you fell in love with the school when you got up there. Some people from afar would be like, hey, he could have gone somewhere else and taken an easier road where he could just focus on football. Why do you think that was the right decision for you, and something that you obviously thought you needed to fall in love with it right away?
Well, the first thing when I started talking to the players when I came here, every guy I talked to, they seemed just like me, like same mentality, same goals in life. This was all bigger than football. I really just fell in love with the people that were here, and I knew if I wanted to be the man I wanted to be, then I needed to come to this place and follow in the footsteps of these guys.
Is there anyone that you kind of used as a resource, whether it was the Army, Navy? Like I remember Keenan Reynolds at Navy all those years ago, who had some Heisman hype as well. Has there been some guys that you've leaned on to kind of like guide and find the way to navigate through some of these challenges?
Yeah, I think the entire quarterback room, before I got here and when I got here, there's so many guys that, reached out. I met Kelvin Hopkins on my visit. He was awesome. And then once I got here, guys like Christian Anderson, Jabari Laws, Tyre Tyler, Jamel Jones, Cade Ballard, all those guys were in the room with me, and they showed me what it meant to be an Army quarterback and an Army football player. And they still reach out to this day, and they're awesome guys. And, very thankful that I got to grow up in the program under those guys.
Now, I know you're getting ready for the game coming up in 2 weeks up against Air Force. Bryson Daly's here with us for a few more minutes. But playing Navy potentially in the AAC championship game, and then maybe again a week later. I know you're one game at a time, 1 week at a time. I understand that. But man, you got to be hearing some of that chatter that's starting to exist on that matchup, right?
Oh, yeah. We hear it all the time. And, it's something that that we heard could be a possibility at the start of the season when we came into the conference. It's pretty pretty wild to think about that it could happen. But we're just trying to do our part on our end to get to that championship game. So can't worry about it too much, like you said, but it is crazy that it could happen 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I know you guys are going to play Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium coming up in a few weeks. Navy plays Notre Dame this weekend. How about their quarterback and Blake Horvath and what you've been able to see?
Yeah, they're playing well over there. Obviously, they're having a good season, and he's playing well also. Excited to watch their game against Notre Dame this weekend. Since we're a bye week, we'll be watching. So it should be some good football on this weekend, and that's one of them.
Yeah, when you watch some of these players around the country, because, right, you're in the smack of the Heisman Trophy conversation. There's been a big conversation about Ashton Genty at Boise State and then also Travis Hunter at Colorado. Just thoughts on afar about those two players.
Yeah, big fan of those guys, man. I remember watching some Ashton Genty highlights like week 2 of the season, and no one was really talking too much about him yet. And I was showing guys in the locker room. I was like, look at this running back.
Wow.
He is special. And so watching him, then watching Travis Hunter, it's unreal. I don't know how he does it both ways. That's incredible. It's pretty taxing on a body to play one way for a full game. So he's incredible as well. So it's pretty cool just to, even be lowly mentioned with incredible players like that. But definitely big fans of those guys as well.
Yeah, and then for the quarterbacks, you also see Dylan Gabriel get a ton of play, Cam Ward as well. Anything you kind of get impressed about when you watch those two guys too?
Yeah, those guys, incredible players. Cam Ward's been all over the place, a lot of different schools, and he's just done awesome anywhere he's been. And same with Dylan Gabriel, just really impressive players. They'll play for a long time. And, watching those guys, I think I'm a fan of college football, so I'm a fan of all those really good players. They're playing awesome as well.
For someone that hasn't seen you play yet, how would you describe your game? What do you want people to know about your game that Bryson Daily brings to a football field?
I hope the first thing they see is toughness, because that's the pillar of our program. That's, something playing for my dad. That's what he always preached, wanted me to be a tough player. So just toughness and effort is the number 1 and 2 things that hopefully people see when they watch me.
And what would you say? Like, I'm a Heisman Trophy voter. Why should we consider you for the Heisman Trophy right now? Just wondering.
I don't know. We're playing really well. I mean, we're winning ball games. But hopefully I'll let them make those decisions. But hopefully they're watching us, and if we continue to win, never know.
Last thing I'll ask you: playing at Yankee Stadium coming up in a bit. It's got to be pretty damn cool, right?
That is, yeah. It'll be cool. We've we've played at an MLB ballpark. We played down at Texas Rangers Stadium my freshman sophomore year. So that was really cool. And a historic place like Yankees, we go there all the time, take the train, watch games. It'll be cool playing in there against a great team in Notre Dame.
Well, I love your story. I love what you've been doing on the field, and obviously much respect with what you do away from the football field as well. I really appreciate your time today and the insight. Thank you for doing this.
Yep, appreciate it. Beat Navy.
There you go. Bryson Daily joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Really enjoyed that conversation with the Army quarterback, and clearly, as expected, a very classy man when he's talking about the other teams around the country and also his team as well. And what a story that is with Army and Navy, both being undefeated, both in the top 25. And Ak, I know you're like a college football historian. I know there's a lot of changes in college football. I think the conference realignment, even though from a traveling standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you got a lot of these big games and the teams know that there's some insurance now with the 12-team college football playoff format. But I think having the conference changes has actually made the sport feel bigger this year. But we always know the classic rivalries, and some of these rivalries are going away with the conference changes. Something that will never go away is Army playing Navy, and now they're both in the American Athletic Conference. And how cool would that be if you have them playing in the conference championship game, Army-Navy, and then you get it the next week once again? And imagine, right, the revenge factor if you lose the conference championship game then the next week, but then how humiliating it would be and how dominant of a way it would be if, let's say, Army was able to beat Navy or vice versa in the AAC championship game, and then they were able to replicate that once again.
Well, I think that'll be interesting because you have two teams that are going to be playing twice, so there are no secrets. So you can't leave it all in the bag for one and then come back out in the other because they're both huge games. But after Christmas, it's the only good reason to think about December.
Yeah, and really when you had the Big Ten get rid of the divisions, people were like, oh, you'll have Ohio State play Michigan Thanksgiving weekend, and then you could get them the next week in the Big Ten championship game. There was even a thought, I think it was coming from Ryan Day, of potentially moving the Ohio State-Michigan game. And I forget who made the point, but someone made that point. Whoever wins the game the first time with how close those teams are, heading into the season and where it was. Now, obviously, Michigan is just not a good football team this year because they don't have a quarterback. But if you look at it the last 3 years when Michigan has beat Ohio State, a lot of people thought, oh, if they had both those two strong teams, the team that won the first time would then probably lose the second time, right? You probably think it would split.
Maybe, yep.
But if it goes the one way, where if like Michigan was able to beat Ohio State in that rivalry game, and then able to beat them again, it's like the ultimate trump card. Like, hey, we beat you twice in a season, and it's really humiliating if you're the team that loses twice.
Very true. I've never been big on the whole conference realignment. I know you probably think differently, and maybe it's of a younger generation, but I miss, and these are long gone rivalries. Used to be Thanksgiving weekend was also Nebraska, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. That was a huge one. That's no more too. So. Yeah, no, I think there's some good. I think there's some bad. Mm-hmm. The conference realignment, I'm usually more with you, where I don't love it. Mm-hmm. And I know why it's done. It's for football. Like what happened to the Big East. I know the Big East has survived, but as a kid growing up, Big East basketball in New York City, not quite the
there was
same
nothing
anymore.
like it. And it's different. They were able to restore it, but it will never be what it once was. Nope. But I thought that I was on a show in Waco, Texas the other day, and they made that point, like, why do you think college football feels like just so strong this year? And they asked me all these different cases, NIL, the transfer portal. They were talking about the expansion. I actually think it's a conference realignment because now you're getting a bunch of these big schools in the same conference going up against
I think
one
that's part of it. I do think the NIL and transfer portal, because I think the rich have gotten richer. I think I don't think you're seeing the great side. Maybe I'm wrong, but I always liked when I did do Eye on College Football. Yeah. It's going back, but there was Utah State when Jordan Love was there. There was Lance Leipold at Buffalo. There were some great stories within the game that weren't as prominent, but nonetheless great stories. And I'm not saying that team or that guy or that story isn't there anymore. But PJ Fleck before he got to Minnesota. Sure. I think you're seeing less of those, or at least that's what it feels like to me.
But you would agree the most prestigious award in college football is the Heisman Trophy, right?
Absolutely.
Like this year, right now, Ashton Genty at Boise State is the odds-on favorite to win it. So there's still a room for that, but it takes a special person like Ashton Genty to not just get the biggest bag of cash that he could get and stay where he's comfortable and happy at right now, which he has with Boise State.
When I was a kid, the Heisman Trophy was dominated by running backs. And now it's flipped. It's now the quarterback.
Yeah, now it's quarterback, and Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Bryson Daly, all going to try to make the case to go win the award. One more thing that I wanted to throw by you, and I just forgot about it. We were talking about, since you mentioned Eye on College Football when you did it, and then you also did Eye on Football. So Ack would have long Saturdays and even longer Sundays, I feel like.
No weekend.
You more, right now in the year of 2024, a college football guy or an NFL guy?
NFL.
Okay. I think
one thing college football has to do, they have to shorten the game.
Okay, that's fair. I think there's too many penalties in the NFL, and it's a sloppy product because there's really no great offseason program anymore. I know they don't have preseason and like that in college football, but there's still no CBA in college football, so they could get a cleaner product week one because they do more tackling and things like that. I think more people think I'm an NFL guy, even though I have great excitement for college football. On Saturdays, I find myself enjoying myself more now than on NFL Sundays.
The thing about college football, and through no fault of its own, versus the NFL, the NFL is, the matchups are more even on a game. You got, because, and again, it's
and there's more passion in the stands too.
Yeah, well, you know what, you get a couple of really good matchups a week in college football, but every matchup is pretty good in the NFL. Yeah. That's and you get.
I don't know this year.
Well,
I don't think there's ever an off weekend in college football. Like even a few weeks ago, we were like, "Oh, this weekend stinks." You saw Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
But you don't have 10 good matchups every week.
Okay. Do you have 10 good matchups in the NFL though? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's 2/3 of the games.
Fair enough. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show, the Infinity Sports Network we're up against. So let's take a break. When we come on back, is there anything Alabama can do to save face for the rest of the season? And who is the person that is most important for Alabama to save face this year? We'll get to that on the other side. Update time first. Here is the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
We have an intriguing storyline for tonight's Thursday Night Football as Week 8 begins with the Vikings and Rams in L.A., a reunion game with Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell back in town after serving as a former assistant under Rams head coach Sean McVay. And the Vikes coach said the two were more than just colleagues.
He's one of my closest friends in this league. I have so much love for him and, a guy that had an incredible impact on not only my coaching career, but just, me as a human.
The Vikings are coming off their first loss of the season. The Rams are 2-4, but will have both Cooper Kupp back on the field and Puka Nacua. This comes a week after Matthew Stafford threw for just 154 yards this week. Not looking good for Jaden Daniels. The Commanders' rookie quarterback missed a second straight day of practice due to a rib injury. And also missing a second straight day was the Giants' Dexter Lawrence. 4 games on the NBA schedule tonight, starting with the Celtics and Wizards in Washington. The defending champs opened the season with a resounding 23-point win over the Knicks in a game that wasn't as close as the score would indicate. I'm Rich Ackerman.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us, the Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call, 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
I don't know what it is. Well, first off, let me tell you about something. This portion of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network is brought to you by Ethos Life. The easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. 2 rejoins that you played today, Manny. I don't have a problem with the actual song selection because I like all kinds of music. You know, some days I could listen to country, some days I could listen to EDM, some days I could listen to rock, rap. Like, I'm all over the place when it comes to music. But 2 songs that you've played today, the first 5 seconds sound like they are ringtones from back in the day. That, like, you would record and then upload onto your phone off a recording that you would have on, like, a big, bassy speaker, and then you would upload them into your phone. That's what I just heard in the first 3 seconds or 4 or 5 seconds of the song that you just played. At least it sounded that way in my headphones. It sounded like it was like off a recording and then it like picks up and it's like, boom. Okay, then it sounded good. So I don't know what you're doing today.
Do you like it or do you not like it?
All right, let's see. Play the song coming back one more time. Play it from the beginning. I liked it there. The first, 2 seconds, though, what the heck was that?
That's just how the song starts. Don't blame me.
Terrible.
Blame Glass Animals.
Terrible. Terrible. Glass Animals?
Yeah, it's a good song.
By the way, did you see the big breakup in the music world? Did you?
Travis and Taylor?
No.
Oh.
Jeez. Why do you have to do that?
You scared? What other couple is there?
Why are you so excited about that?
I wasn't excited. That was more heartbreak. That was more shock.
Okay. Brianna Chicken Fry and Zach Bryan. Brianna Chicken Fry, the Barstool Sports personality. Zach Bryan, the famous country singer. No more. No more. Broke up. So I'm a big consumer of Barstool Sports and right, the video stuff that they put out there. And I even watch a lot of that BFF podcast with Josh Richards and Brianna Chicken Fry and Dave Portnoy. And they released an episode last night. And they talk a lot about relationships on that too. So I'm getting ready to watch because I saw the video. I feel terrible for Brianna. You know, I saw a video, 3-minute video that she put out of her crying like, hey, the relationship's no more and all that. And when I went to go watch the hour episode, like had a bowl of popcorn, was sitting down, ready to go watch the whole episode, there was a disclaimer. We recorded on Monday before the breakup became public, so we did not address it in this video. If you want to see her addressing the breakup, she ended up putting out a 3-minute video. So that was like, what do I watch now? So this is going to be real morbid. Real morbid. There was a documentary that came out, or an interview that came out of someone that has been locked up for 20 years now because of murder. And this person did their first interview since, getting thrown away and locked up in the slammer. I think we all remember the Scott and Lacey Peterson case. So Lacey Peterson, unfortunately got murdered. She was pregnant, like 8 months pregnant, and it ended up was her husband who did the murder. Now, that was like a huge case. Even I remember that when I was young. It was on the West Coast, and even living in the East Coast, it was like a national story. So I said, I wanted to watch this. And I guess now they're thinking he's innocent, which, hey, I don't know how many episodes there are, but I watched the first 2 episodes. There is no way that he's innocent. He was cheating on her, and then they had this mysterious mistress and all that. So there are some faulty parts where they make you believe, maybe he is innocent. But how they started off, they try to make it really convincing. They have someone that's a family member, and I thought it was one of her family members, basically saying hey, he's innocent. But it was his brother's, Scott Peterson's brother's wife. If it was one of her family members, okay, maybe I could think he's innocent. But since it was his brother's wife, I'm well, of course you're going to think your brother-in-law is innocent. But if it was on the other side, that would have maybe made me think he was innocent. But I watched the first 2 episodes. Tonight I got to watch Pitt and Syracuse. I also got to watch, obviously, the Thursday Night Football game where Puka Nacua is playing. I heard Axe say that. So Puka Nacua is going to play. He had a good poker face the other day, Stu, when he was with us. When I asked him, and he's like, I am day to day. He didn't rule it out. But he just, you couldn't get a read on Puka Nacua if he was going to play or not. But I did watch the first 2 episodes of the Scott Peterson interview and this docuseries that they did put out. I think there's 2 more episodes to go. But definitely going to watch the other 2 whenever I do get an opportunity. I think there's 2 more. I think it's 4 total episodes. Because you could load episode 3, and then I think there was an episode 4, and I don't think there was anything after that. But I watched 2 hours of that last night, and I'm probably not a smart idea right before you go to bed to watch something about murder. I feel like that will just trigger some sort of nightmare or something like that, but I didn't have any dreams last night that I at least remember. I didn't have any nightmares. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night with just sweat and a cold sweat and screaming, thinking about that. But I think he is guilty. I know he's been in the slammer for 20 years, but sometimes people get locked up and wrongly put into the slammer. I had not been convinced yet for a long period in the 2 episodes that he is innocent. All righty. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We were supposed to talk about Alabama there. So how does Alabama save their season? Win out, right? You got to make the college football playoff. There's the hot take of the day. That's why they pay me the big bucks, folks. Stay in school, folks. Stay in school. No, but all kidding aside, Alabama has to win out. Alabama with 2 losses. They probably should be out of the playoff contention, but there's 12 teams now. They lost to Tennessee. They lost to Vanderbilt. It's got to be Jalen Milroe. You got to grow up now. You got to. Jalen Milroe looked lost on the field last week. Terrible decision-making and no awareness. I know everyone wants to crush the coach in Kalen DeBoer. The defense played well. I know he's an offensive-minded coach, but his quarterback, they should have been up by more, and he had some terrible decision-making, and he threw a horrendous pick when they were driving. And they should have been up by more at halftime than 7-0. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We can come on back. 10 teams in college football that Stu views as disappointing. On the disappointing meter, 1 little disappointment, 10 all the disappointment in the world. Where am I at on those 10 schools?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
to infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, away we go. Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You can always hit us up, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Interact with me on the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, and also on Instagram, where I'm always trade flexing, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Okay, give me a little college football music, por favor. And when we get to this college football music, Stu has compiled the list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that Stu finds to be disappointing this year. And Stu wants to know on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no disappointment in the world, 10 being all the disappointment in the world, where do I fall on the disappointment meter for these 10 teams? So, Stuart, I hand it over to you. Stu Kovacs Jr. What's your middle name, by the way? Don't tell me the name yet. Give me an initial on your middle name.
M.
M. Matthew?
No.
Max?
No.
Michael?
Correct. Stuart Michael Kovacs Jr.
Stuart Michael Kovacs Jr. Emmanuel Rodriguez. What is your initial for your middle name?
Well, it's going to be tough.
Okay.
Because my parents deemed Emmanuel Rodriguez to be enough.
Oh, you have no middle name?
I have no middle name.
Non-existent middle name?
Nope.
Emmanuel, no middle name, Rodriguez.
I've actually been called that a few times, yes.
Were you made fun of that in school growing up as a kid? I feel like that's like a juvenile thing kids would make fun of people for.
Nope. I got bullied for other reasons.
What the heck did you get bullied for?
Being a Knicks fan.
Oh.
Yeah, now you're laughing at my thing. Where did I grow up? The New York City suburbs.
So how did you get bullied for being a Knicks fan?
Because they stunk. Because LeBron James, because everybody was a Heat fan and a LeBron James fan. That's why I got bullied, Zach.
What kind of wackadoo school did you go to?
The one where the bandwagons go to.
Oh, okay. Like usually when I think of people getting bullied, it'd be like, oh, you're fat or oh, you're ugly. Something like that. I wouldn't think, oh, you grew up as a Knicks fan. Nah, man, he sucks.
24 wins again.
Fire the coach every Thanksgiving.
Yeah, all right. I'm getting flashbacks here, man.
You know what?
Yeah.
After the show, Manny.
Sure.
I'm not going to take you out for dinner.
Damn.
But I'm going to sit down. You're going to go on a couch, and you're just going to spew your thoughts to me. All right? I'm going to be your therapist. I'll have a 20-minute session. I'll hear you speak your mind.
20?
And then I'll let you go. I'm not sticking around for more than 20 minutes. I have to speak to a college class tonight. For some reason, they want me to speak to a college class tonight. Can you believe that?
The guy who can't put on a hard hat?
That's not nice. It's not my fault that I asked engineering for a hard hat around here, and they give me a hard hat, and the lining on the hard hat was broken. Okay? And then I asked for some protective eyewear glasses. One guy says, yeah, we could get it. The other guy was like, no, we can't give you that. So that's not my fault. Now, not being able to locate the slot for the paper shredder? Yeah, that you could put on me. See, once again, very careful how you say that. There's one way I would not want to say it because then Manny would be posting me all on social media. Look at this moron. Look at this guy. All righty, Stu. Give me the teams. Emmanuel, no-name Rodriguez. Stuart. Michael? Kovacs Jr. and Zachary Lazarus Gelb. What do we got cooking here?
All right, what about a team that came in as one of the best teams in the country preseason, but has lost 2 games? Alabama.
Now, I was actually a bigger believer in Alabama than most this year. I thought Alabama could go to the national championship game. I'm going to put the disappointment with Alabama at a 9. So significant disappointment, and here's why. Because the first 4 games of the season, or first 3 games of the season, they were fine, right? You blew out Western Kentucky, sloppy first half against South Florida, and you blew them out, and then the Wisconsin game was like the real first punch. first little punch that Alabama threw on the season. But then to play the way that they did in the first half up against Georgia, and ever since then, look like they're the Alabama football before Nick Saban got there. And obviously, I'm not talking about the Paul Bear Bryant days, obviously. But this Alabama team since that had a bad second half against Georgia, then lost to Vanderbilt. I still can't believe that. The game was 3 weeks ago. They lost to Vanderbilt. Then they barely beat South Carolina, wiped the sweat off the forehead after they found a way to get that victory. And then they looked like they were the better team in the first half. On the scoreboard, it was only 7-0. Then they maintain the lead, or they snag the lead back in the second half up against Tennessee, and then they lose. Man, for what could have been with Alabama to now where we are a few weeks later, that's what puts the disappointment in at a 9 still.
All right. What about a team that obviously they got Dylan Raiola to commit to the team, one of the best quarterbacks in his senior class. Good start, but they've lost 2 out of their last 4, including getting blown out by Indiana. What about Nebraska?
The Indiana one is what makes the season a little disappointing so far. So I would put it at a 4 because I know how Matt builds a program. Year 1 is a wash. They had 5 wins. Year 2, they slightly get better. They take a step where they look like they're better, but it may not always reflect in the win column. And then year 3 is really when it takes off. That's the way that it feels like. So far, they had that big statement up against Colorado. They lose to Illinois. Raiola made mistakes in the second half. The offensive line was no good. The Indiana one is what picks up the intensity on the disappointment meter. But I still put it at a 4. They're going to get smashed this weekend in all likelihood up against Ohio State. Then after that, they'll get bowl eligibility beating UCLA. They should be able to get another victory on the schedule. I had them at 8 wins before the season started. You know, maybe they're only going to get 7. Could they still get 8 with USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa after that? Yeah, they can. So I think they're going to kind of be at 8 wins, but how they got to 8 wins after getting smashed by Indiana makes it a little bit disappointing, but that's a team that hasn't been bowl eligible since, 2015 or 2016? I would put it at 4. It's not overwhelming disappointment with Nebraska.
All right. What about USC? They have 4 losses now on the season, losing 4 out of the last 5 games.
10. And it's funny because I think Lincoln Riley is overrated. I've said that for years, and I got slammed for saying that. They would laugh at me in the college football community for saying that. Who's laughing now? Me, not you. But even with that being said, when I look at USC, I thought the expectation was so low this year that they would undersell, over-deliver, even if the delivery isn't like the greatest package in the world. Like if I told you for Christmas, Manny, what's the worst gift that you think you could get for Christmas?
Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey.
Okay, so if I said I'm going to get you a Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey, you're like, oh, this is going to be a terrible Christmas. Now think of a player on the Giants that isn't good. It's not tough. That isn't good, but isn't like a household name. It's not a player that you can't hate. He's just like a fine, irrelevant kind of player.
Darius Slayton.
Okay. Then I get you a Darius Slayton jersey. Like, it's like, oh, it's better than getting the Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey when you're a Giant fan, but it's not a great gift. It's not a good gift, but it's not a bad gift. Like, it's something that you would wear. People would just kind of look at you and maybe bully you and think you're a little funny.
More bullying. Nice.
Yeah, think something's wrong with you if you're wearing a Darius Slayton jersey. So that's kind of what I thought it was going to be for USC. The bar is set so low, well, they'll raise it up a little bit, but it still won't be good. And it looked like they were heading to that direction after beating LSU. Then they lost again. They shouldn't have lost up against Michigan. And now they lost 3 straight up against Minnesota, Penn State, Maryland. 10. This is just a disappointment. And you know they owe so much money. Nearly $80 million is the buyout for Lincoln Riley. Over $80 million. And, like, let's just be real. This is a program that knows now they don't have their coach, but they're going to have to keep on having that coach around because of the fact that they owe him so much money. I'm getting distracted here. You know why? I have, like, 3 different people asking me for favors right now. And they know what I do for a living, and they know when I'm on the radio. No, it's not you, Manny. Like, Manny's like, what did I text him? You didn't text me anything. But it's just, like, distracting me. Like, I'm on the air. My computer's connected to my phone, which I hate doing. I don't know why I did it. And now, for some reason, I have no clue why, I can't see the contact when it flashes up on the screen. I have to then click into the message to see the contact. Now, I have no clue why. I sound like an old man here. I'm only 30. The technology's killing me these days. You just saw me try to shred some paper earlier. That was a disaster. Now, the computer's distracted me. But, like, to these three people asking me for things, you know what I do for a living. You know I'm on the air. Why are you texting me right now? Very distracted. But disappointment 10 for Lincoln Riley and USC. Next team.
All right. What about a team that used to also be in the Pac-12 but is now in the Big 12? In the Arizona Wildcats, they had a decent start to the season. They beat Utah, who was 10th at the time, but then since then they've lost 3 straight games. They are now 3-4 on the season.
2, and here's why. I know they have the big quarterback and the big wide receiver. But with that being said, even with McMillan, Fafita, they lost their coach. Like, that was a team that had so much talent. And then they were a team right when the season ended. Oh, watch out for Arizona next year. And then Jed Fish goes to Washington when DeBoer goes to Alabama. So the number I'll give is a 2. Like, it hasn't been pretty, but I thought that ship was sailing away when the coach left and the air was let out of the balloon. Now, they shouldn't be losing 34-7 to Colorado. I know BYU's undefeated. They're really good, but you shouldn't be losing 41-19. You got to be competitive. They scored the first touchdown up against Kansas State, and then they allowed 31 unanswered. But I put it at a 2 just because I viewed that team differently when the coach left in the offseason.
So I don't think a lot of people had this team that was preseason top 10. They have started 1-6, and they still have Miami and Notre Dame on their schedule, and that is Florida State.
40. All right? Like, you guys know me. I love Mike Norvell. I do. I was a fan of his at Memphis. I'm a big fan of Mike Norvell. This team this year, and I didn't pick them to win the ACC, so I thought they'd have a drop-off with all that they lost. But to be 1-6, like, you lose to Georgia Tech, you lose to Boston College, but to be 1-6, how the heck is that? Like, they only beat Cal 14-9. That's their one win. You go through the 7 games for Florida State this year. They lose in Dublin to start off the year 24-21 to Georgia Tech. They then lose to Boston College 28-13. Bill O'Brien taking over that program. They lose to Memphis 20-12. They beat Cal 14-9. They got smacked by the Mustangs of SMU 42-16. They got beat up by Clemson 29-13. And Manny Diaz at Duke is actually doing a good job. They lose 23-16. So, like, 40 on Florida State. I thought they would fall off. I still thought they would be a bowl team. Now, they're over-under. The under was already a lock by what? It was week 3, if memory serves me right. The under was a lock. That team has been a disaster. An absolute disaster. All right, next team.
All right, what about Ole Miss? They came in at number 6 in the preseason poll, and they started really strongly with a bunch of blowout wins, but since then they've lost to Kentucky and LSU by 3 points apiece. What about Ole Miss?
Yeah, and they're not going to make the college football playoff, and they're one of those teams when they missed the college football playoff with 4 teams, it would be like, oh, come on. The fact that they were in the conversation is a heck of a job by the Lane Train in Lane Kiffin, but now the fact that they're in all likelihood going to miss the college football playoff in a 12-team format, that just can't happen. It can't happen, folks. And I know they lost to LSU in overtime. The game was close. You know, they lose to Kentucky. That defense was the big question mark going into the season, right? The defense has actually been fine. That offensive performance up against Kentucky was rancid. So I'll put it in at like an 8 of disappointment. And now it opens that door. If Billy Napier, which he may be buying himself another season, but if Billy Napier does leave, I thought they wouldn't be able to get Lane Kiffin because he'd be in the college football playoff. Now it doesn't look like Ole Miss is going to be anywhere close to the college football playoff. So disappointment is an 8.
What about Oklahoma State? They won their first 3. They've lost their last 4. Obviously, one of the best running backs coming in, Ollie Gordon, but he hasn't really looked like himself. What about Oklahoma State?
Yeah, the Ollie Gordon thing is such a bizarre thing. It really is. And I know he's played better as of late, but he got off to a real slow start to the season. And you know what? It's kind of karma to their coach, Mike Gundy, where before the season, he was basically trying to downplay drinking and driving, right? A DUI. And you kind of get what you now deserve. in Mike Gundy because he did Ollie Gordon, who made the mistake, no favors. Like, Ollie answered every question professionally, but Mike Gundy acted like a jackass. But yeah, like, you look at the season for Ollie Gordon right now, it's 117 carries, 491 yards. 107 against BYU, 50 against West Virginia, 76 against Kansas State, 42 against Utah, 41 against Tulsa, 49 against Arkansas, and 126 up against San Diego State. South Dakota State. So, I didn't have really high expectations for them going into the year. Like, the Big 12, I just thought it was so open. I'm trying to think, who did I pick? Oh, I picked Kansas State to win the Big 12 before the season started. But to now lose 4 straight, yeah, it's more on the disappointing side than giving them, like, letting them off the hook. But I just don't even care, like, if I'm being honest. Because, like, I thought they could be good, but I never thought they could be great. So I'll put it at, like, a 6. But, yeah, it's really gotten away from them after starting the year 3-0, and they've lost 4 straight games to Utah, Kansas State, West Virginia, and BYU. So I'll go 6.5. 6 seems like it's let them off too easily. I'll put a half in there, 6.5.
What about another team that started in the top 10 in the preseason? The defending national champion Michigan Wolverines. They have now 3 losses.
So I thought Michigan would fall back. I thought they could have an outside chance to make the college football playoff. Here's the disappointing part. In the transfer portal era and the resources that Michigan can have with their alumni and NIL, how do you have no quarterback? That's a problem. And they thought Alex Orji was something that he wasn't, which is a big problem. He didn't even win the job to start off the season, and now he's been benched after getting the job. So they're 4-3. They had no offense for most of the season. Yeah, they lost so many players, and it's tough to be really disappointed when you win a national championship the year before. So it's like at a 6. I'll go 6. If I put Oklahoma State at a 6.5, I will put Michigan at a 6.
All right. What about the Oklahoma Sooners? We know what their kind of issues have been, but they've lost 3 out of 4, including losing to South Carolina this past week. What about Oklahoma?
8.5. Really high. And you know what? They crushed my alma mater to start the season. And you know what's kind of sad? Beating Auburn is probably the highlight. But when you win 51-3 against Temple, and Temple stinks, and it's like, oh, geez, man, like, that was the statement that we made? Like, come on. Like, we're like little old Temple here, the football school. But to just look how bad that defense has been with Venables, and then the quarterback, one week it's Arnold, then it's Hawkins Jr., then it's Arnold again. I got no clue what they're doing, and they just gave Venables a 6-year extension in the summer. That's an 8.5. Because when the offense plays well, the defense doesn't. When the defense plays well, the offense doesn't. They just can't get on the same page. Very disappointing. And final one, I believe.
Yes, last one here. The Utah Utes, they came in at number 12. A lot of people thought they could win the Big 12 this season. They won their first 4, but have since lost 3 straight games, so they're 4-3.
So whenever everybody picks one team in a conference like the Big 12, and I love Whittingham as the team to beat, conferences like the Big 12, the ACC, whoever the team is to beat, you pick somebody else, right? Because there's just not great teams. There's good teams. I don't think there's great teams in those conferences. So everyone was all in love with Utah, right? You get your tight end back. You get Cam Rising coming on back, or you thought. Now Cam Rising, he's probably going to be playing next year. Like, Utah just needs to say to Cam Rising, we love you. You've been here forever. It's over. It's done. It's finished. Turn out the lights. Ah, the ladies singing, it's over. Okay? The big ladies singing, it's over. The big man singing, it's over. Can I say the big man singing? Because when I sing and I say the big lady singing, that just doesn't sound right. But hey, whatever. You get the point. Even though he still has another year of eligibility, I don't want to see Cam Rising play college football next year at the age of like 48. He's making Perry Ellis look young, if I'm being honest. Didn't expect that name drop today. But in terms of a disappointment level, I expected them not to win the Big 12 just because everyone was picking them. The last 3 weeks, it's got ugly, losing to Arizona, Arizona State, and TCU. Yeah, put it at about like an 8 because Whittingham's a really good coach, but it's only so many times you could deal with not having the guy that was supposed to be the guy for you and then having to go to Zach Wilson's little brother. All righty. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. When we come on back, Let's get to a little news brief on the other side. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. But first, let me tell you about my friends at Sleeper. Football is back, and what better way to celebrate than winning some cash with Sleeper Picks? Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you could win real money. That's right. Money, money, money. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If your picks are right, you win. You can pick up to 8 players to win up to 100 times your money. And Sleeper has a couple huge offers to kickstart the football season. For new users, Sleeper will match your first deposit with up to $100 credit to your account. If you've already played, Sleeper's got discounted player projections for you every week of the season. So download the Sleeper app now and use promo code SCORE, and your first deposit will be doubled with the credit up to $100. What are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today and use code SCORE, that's S-C-O-R-E, for a credit up to $100 match on your first deposit. That's code SCORE. Once again, Manny, I'll even read it for you again so you can write it down and make this happen. SCORE, that's S-C-O-R-E. Must be 18 years in most states and in state where it's legal. Promo code and other restrictions apply. Visit sleeper.com. Please wager responsibly. Again, problem call 1-800-426-2537 for help. Paid for by Blitz Studios.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
So, this is kind of funny. I was testing out the paper shredder when we were shredding teams earlier, and I wanted to see if the paper shredder just was as simple as I thought it was. And now I'm frozen again. Oh, now I'm not frozen. So who's logging in? Stu, you logging in? What's going on here? You don't know? You're not logging in?
I don't know. It looks like it might be an internet issue, but I'm not positive.
I'm streaming in. You're back to being unfrozen, so.
Oh, well, let me explain. So if you're watching on YouTube, that's what I did. The paper shredder ate my homework. All right, let's get to a little news brief here. Mike McCarthy refutes Jerry Jones' comments on the offense and the problems with the offense that he was crushing him for on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas.
I didn't see the comments specifically, so but I don't think we have bad concepts in bad place. But I'll go back and check. But we're not where we want to be. I mean, that's clearly, and that ultimately is my responsibility.
You know what I give credit to for Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott? They have just learned how to chuckle and ignore what Jerry Jones says. And they know they have to get up to the podium and they have to get dealt the medicine from the reporters and get asked those questions. But geez, at this point, they're like, we've done this now for 3 years where the owner criticizes basically every part of us, and we know what he's doing. He's just doing it for drama to get stirred up. So I feel a little bit bad for McCarthy and Dak. Like, I would love their salaries, and I would take the beating from Jerry Jones verbally. But geez Louise, it's like, what are we doing here at this point? All right, let's go to Aaron Rodgers on the fiery speech that Davante Adams gave the team. Think about this. First week with the team, and a fiery speech was needed in Pittsburgh.
I thought it was the realest speech I'd ever heard in a locker room in 20 years. There's just certain guys over the years that are, I don't even know what adjective to use is better than this one, but they're just real guys. And when they speak up, you feel it.
So can I just ask a question around the room? Patriots play the Jets this weekend in Foxborough. What's the score? Manny, go ahead.
I'll go 17-10 Jetropolitans.
Stu?
24-17 Jets.
Okay. The Jets are going to win this weekend.
They have to win this
You hope so.
You would think. So what I'm saying is this. This is just such a joke. Oh, the greatest speech in the world. He walks in. He's the guy. You stop. You listen. They're going to make it up like Davante Adams is his hero, and now this speech turns the season around. Baloney. I think the Patriots are alive this weekend. Because here's why. There's no reason to believe in the coach right now, Gerard Mayo. It looks like a bleep show in New England. But Drake May right now, he's got that dude type of feel to him. He's got that look. He's got that swagger. I like what I'm seeing so far from Drakey May the first 2 weeks of the season. I think the Patriots are alive. I think this game is closer than what people think. But yes, the Jets should win. But like making it out that, oh, Davante Adams with this speech, it was wonderful. It was spectacular. It's going to turn our season around. The Jets will stink. Now, I should have shredded the Jets today on their playoff chances in the paper shredder. But I was being a nice guy. I was in a good mood. Alrighty, let's go to Tyreek Hill. Bad week last week in fantasy. What's the message to the fantasy owners with Tua Tagovailoa coming back?
We're back, baby. Strike up the band. We're back, baby. Start me this week, baby. Let's go.
How many yards this week for Tyreek Hill, Manny? What's your prediction?
126 receiving yards.
And a tutty?
Give him 2.
That's going to be a lot of points in that game. I don't know what the over is between the Dolphins and the Cardinals. But whatever the over is, I think I'm going to play it this week. And I think there's going to be a whole lot of points in that one. Stu, what's the official prediction on Tyreek Hill this weekend?
Think he scores a touchdown and he gets like 85 yards.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm going $145 and 2 tutties.
Wow.
You know, I will bet 2 touchdowns this week for Tyreek Hill. Probably going to lose the bet, but I'll still bet it.
Looks like 45.5 is that over-under number.
That's it?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Ooh. Hammer the over. Ron Rivera was on with After Hours with Amy Lawrence right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Hey, Ron Rivera, could you return to coaching?
I'm taking it 1 week at a time, to be honest with you. If the opportunity comes, I won't turn the opportunity to look, that's for sure. I won't turn that down. I really won't. But I will say the really neat thing is I've gotten a lot of different perspectives.
I would not want Ron Rivera as a head coach anymore moving forward. Could he go be on someone's staff? Absolutely. And I know it was a tough spot in Washington, but it was ugly at the end. And he just said some things at the podium that just caused so many distractions. I like Ron a lot. That's a good man. It's a good football coach for a while. I just don't think he's NFL head coaching material in next year for the 2025 season. But could he be on someone's staff? Absolutely. Hey, by the way, you know what never crossed my mind yesterday when we were talking about Robert Saleh? So Robert Saleh, do we have that audio, LaFleur? Just wondering. Was that something that made the cut sheet today? I don't know if it did or didn't. I don't think I sent it. But anyway, it's irrelevant. Matt LaFleur, basically, we talked about it yesterday. He talked about Robert Saleh, how he didn't want him to come join the staff. But Robert Saleh, right, so dedicated to football, he needed this. He's going to help out the offense, even though he's defensive-minded head coach, try to show the offense what the defense is thinking. So, Stu, we sat there and we broke that down yesterday, and we kind of took it from, you're sitting on all that cash, why don't you just enjoy life? I'll give credit to Maggie and Perloff, because it's like the little things. Like, I'm usually a big topic guy, right? You know, we usually have a lot of headlines on this show, but sometimes it's the little things that it could be sitting right underneath your nose and you can't even smell it. We talked about it even yesterday, how Robert Saleh could get a Super Bowl ring with the Green Bay Packers. But I never made the point on the air yesterday in the immediacy of it happening. Do you think at all Saleh's doing this to stick it to Aaron Rodgers? Like, hey, I'm going to go where you used to be. I know the coach in LaFleur, and I'm going to go help them win because you basically got me fired in New York. You're going to be a disaster, and I'm going to be great in your own home, like your old home. Do you think that was any part of the equation there, Stu, for one Robert Saleh? Because I didn't think about it that way. Or, like, honestly, we all know Rodgers is a Packer. But since he's been gone there now for 2 years, I didn't think of the revenge factor there for Robert Saleh going back to where Aaron Rodgers used to be for all those years.
It's interesting. I just think they're close, right? Like, I believe LaFleur is the best man at Saleh's wedding, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So, like, I just think that they have, like, such a close relationship where I don't think it's that he's trying to give it to the Jets.
No, you're 100% right. Like, I didn't even think of the Rodgers revenge factor, like him going back there with the Packers. I just thought, oh, he's so close with LaFleur, right? They're boys. He's addicted to coaching, and that's where he was getting an opportunity where his buddy was going to go help him out in season, which is so tough to do. All righty. So Penn State, over the summer, they kicked 2 players off their football team. The other day, these 2 players were charged with rape, and this is how Penn State elected to handle it. This is the Penn State SID before a press conference, and James Franklin, the head football coach.
Statement yesterday in our program and athletic department. We'll have no further comment. If you need this statement, please reach out to me or Chris.
Hey guys, any questions?
James, at what point in the summer were you aware that these guys were not going to be on the team?
Again, guys. The university already released a statement. If you need the statement, reach out to me or Chris. We'll have no further comment.
Are there questions about Wisconsin?
I'm going to say this nicely. James Franklin is an asshat. All right? I had to stop myself right there. You know what I wanted to say. This dude makes $8.5 million a year. $8.5 million a year. And when he gets in front of a podium, I need the SID to read a statement, and then what you can't obviously hear because you're listening on the radio is the moment a question is asked about, even though the SID said what they said, hey, we're not going to take any questions on this, the media still has the right to ask about it. He walks off the podium or the area where they hold this press conference, and then the SID goes back out, and because it's all for social media, right? Like, how dumb are you? You know the reporters are recording, so you think just because what the school's going to release, that's what it's for. Like, hey, guys, He said, hey, guys, in the beginning after the statement, then walks off after the statement was read and that confrontational situation happened, and then goes, hey, guys, again, because he knows that's when he's going to want Penn State to start the press conference that they're going to ultimately release on their online feeds. It's just like, you get paid $8.5 million a year. Who knows what the SID's making? I like, if I was to guess, 85,000, 100,000, maybe. Like, to be fair, I don't know. But whatever James Franklin is making significantly trumps with the SID. Walk up little James back up to the podium and have him speak. Walk up little James back up to the podium and have him speak because he can't put on his big boy pants. Like, come on. It's so ridiculous. But that's why James Franklin is a loser. I'm sorry, he's a loser. Because he does this all the time. All the time, James Franklin. There's no accountability. Alrighty, I don't want to do anything else on the news brief. I'm so fired up over freaking James Franklin. I almost dropped an F-bomb there. That's how annoyed I was. Like, come on. I felt bad for the SID yesterday. Only Wisconsin questions. Like, come on. It's so easy what he had to do. And it fires me up, even just from a PR perspective. I took one lousy PR class in college. All you need to do is James Franklin, the university released a statement. I'm not allowed to answer it. And then if someone says it again, I understand the question, respect it. At appropriate time, I can answer it. But right now, I can't answer it. And that's it. But you make it a dog and pony show when you have the SID basically dragging his hand. All right, James, speak now, speak now. All right, no questions. We got to protect James. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I know people are going to say, oh, Zach, you're just being a Penn State hater. Stop it. We just did a draft yesterday. I picked him with the 4th highest chances of winning it all. All right? That was just low class from a school, by the way, that it's a very sensitive topic, obviously, with what happened in the past with Sandusky and Paterno and all the cover-up for all those years. And you have a serious thing happen, and your head football coach can't get in front of the podium and be a man. I'm not saying you got to answer the questions, but you basically hide behind the SID and then walk off. Like, oh, how dare you actually ask about it? What a joke. What a bleeping joke by Penn State. But you know what? And I have friends that attended Penn State. I know people that work there that are good people, and this isn't directed to them. But that school, when it comes to something in regards to this topic, it's the same damn thing over and over again. Over and over again, where they just protect the high and mighty football coach at Penn State. And he can't get up there making $8.5 million a year and not basically have a PR person do his dirty work. He can't just sit there and do what the PR person did. Enough. And it's like they make it out like James Franklin's a victim, and how dare you ask him that? And you get these dopes that are Penn State sycophants that now are in everyone's comments today. Oh, well, he should have just listened to the SID. Like, shut up. I have one critical bone in your body for once about Penn State. Here's Zach with the latest update.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
The first matchup of Week 8 of the NFL season features the Vikings and Rams at SoFi Stadium. Cooper Kupp is back after missing time with an ankle injury, but returns to a team that is 2-4, and the wide receiver finds himself the subject of trade rumors.
I take a lot of pride in giving everything I can for the guys in this building, and being able to step on the field knowing that I've prepared the best I can. And, for 7.5 years, I've been an LA Ram, and I've taken that approach every single day. And, whatever happens outside of that, I control what I can control. And right now that means being the best LA Ram that I can be.
Puka Nacua also returns tonight after missing time with a knee injury. Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels missed a second straight day of practice, putting his status for this weekend in jeopardy. Likewise, Micah Parsons because of an injured ankle. Broncos receiver Josh Reynolds was a victim of a shooting in Denver Friday. He is fortunate to have suffered only minor injuries. A lighter night on the NBA schedule with 4 games tonight after 10 last night, starting with the defending champion Celtics looking for back-to-back wins to open the season. They are in Washington while Victor Wembanyama opens his second season with the Spurs in Dallas. I'm Rich Ecker.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us, the Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call, 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
The Dependable Player of the Week is sponsored by Depend and the Prostate Cancer Foundation, reminding you that health is a long game and screening for prostate cancer is easier than ever. Learn more at Depend.com. This week's player is Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold. On the season, the former first-round pick by the Jets has thrown for 1,370 yards, has completed 66% of his passes, and has just thrown 12 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. So Sam Darnold is the Dependable Player of the Week, and you will see the Minnesota Vikings in action tonight up against the Los Angeles Rams. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 no belief in the world, 10 all the belief in the world, I'll ask this question. I got 2 questions. Manny, I'll start with you. Give me a number. This report about Matthew Stafford potentially getting traded in season to the Minnesota Vikings as they play the Vikings tonight. The trade deadline is November 5th. By the way, let's see how smart you guys are. You have any idea what else is November 5th? Any other idea? Stu?
Would that be a certain election?
Yes. There we go. Andy, do you have any idea that Election Day is November 5th?
I thought it was the 4th.
Oh, okay. You're in the right ballpark at least. You know, I said meet me at like Comac in New York, and you went to like Smithtown. You're in the
Long Island.
You're like in the right like 5 to 10 mile radius, so you weren't that far away. I heard that this morning on Boomer and Gio. The NFL, like, how do you have the NFL trade deadline day on the same day as Election Day? Like, we're gonna have to be sitting here as we're all trying to figure out who's gonna be the president of the United States, and I'm not a big political guy. And like now, like in my family. Man, it is so split. There are like some people that feel one way and some people that feel another type of way. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, let's stir the pot. Let's stir the pot. But I'm just getting like so annoyed with it at this point, with all the election conversation. It's really enough. Like, all right, let's figure out who's going to be the president. You'll have a celebration on one side. You'll have outrage on the other side. Whoever wins, whoever loses, that's what you know is going to end up happening. But the fact that we're going to have to seriously talk about the NFL trade deadline on a sports show when there's an election going on, that's going to be interesting. Like, do you think, who's the guy at NBC, who's at Kornacki, that they always throw out there? Can we have him, like, double dip trade odd percentages and then also the election percentages that day? See if we could get some of his time talking about the NFL as well. That would be a pretty fun bit. I think it was Maggie and Perloff last year that they imitated him. It was a pretty good imitation I remember seeing. But anyway, on a scale of 1 to 10, Manny, no name, no middle name, Rodriguez Jr. I almost took away your whole name. 1 to 10, how much do you believe this report by Jack Settleman at Snapback Sports that the Vikings could be trading for Matthew Stafford?
I'll give it a 1.5. I don't believe in it at all. I think the Vikings are happy with the product that Sam Darnold has put out. They have J.J. McCarthy, who will probably be taking over next year if it all goes well. I think the Vikings are fine at quarterback. I don't really believe it.
Junior, what do you say?
I would say a 1. I just don't understand it at all. I think Darnold's good enough for this year, and I think they have McCarthy next year. It makes no sense.
I could see them getting rid of Stafford in the offseason, but right now I think it's like a negative infinity. A quarterback trade in the middle of the season when Darnold's actually playing well, I just don't get that one. All right, Cooper Kupp. Diana Rossini's been all over this. Potentially getting traded on a scale of 1 to 10. Manny, how much? 1, no belief, 10, all the belief in the world.
That I think there is some more belief. I'll give that an 8.
Okay.
I think the Rams are kind of just running on fumes from that Super Bowl win. And I might as well get something out of Puka Nacua now.
Stu, what's your number?
50-50. I'm at a 5.
All right, I'm gonna go 6.5. I think it's like right in the middle of where Manny and Stu was. All right, who do we like in the game tonight? You know, it looks like the Rams are going to have a little emotional boost. They're getting Cooper Kupp back. It looks like Puka Nacua is also going to play. When you take a look here at the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium to kick off what is already Week 8. I can't believe it's Week 8. Who do you like?
I think there will be rust with the Rams receivers. Vikings coming off a loss. I like Minnesota.
All righty. Stu, Junior?
I think the Vikings win pretty big. I was not impressed by the Rams against my Raiders, even though they won. I think the Vikings win something like 28-10.
I'm taking the Rams. Ooh. I'm taking the Rams. I know that I could get 2.5 points of them. I like the Rams outright tonight. I think getting Cooper Kupp back, I know Puka Nacua is probably on a pitch count, but I look at that game and I hear what you guys are saying. The Vikings on paper should win this game, right? The defense is really damn good. I love Flores. You got you got Sam Darnold. You got Justin Jefferson. I just think this spread is too low. It's just too low for me right now tonight. And I think a lot of people are going to do what Manny said. And I think Manny, right? I just look at a game and I go, what is the expected thing to be said? Minnesota lost a close game last week to the Lions. They're not going to lose 2 in a row. The Rams with all the rust. There's not a great reason to pick the Rams. That's why tonight I'm picking the Rams. Because I'm still trying to figure out what Minnesota is going to be. If you tell me, Zach, envision Minnesota is going to be in the Super Bowl this year, I could actually see it. I could actually envision that. But then if you also tell me they're going to lose Wild Card Weekend, I could see that too. They're going to be a playoff team. I just don't know to what level of greatness they're going to be this year. I'm probably thinking divisional round weekend right now. But that's a team with a lot of talent, and there's not a lot of well-rounded football teams this year. And they are a well-rounded football team. But the level of desperation, the Rams lose tonight, 2-5, your season's over. And, if you win this game and you get to 3-4, you then the next 2 weeks have Seattle, you got the Dolphins, you got the Patriots, the Eagles, the Saints. Those are 5 games where you could go on a run. So this game, to me, I understand why you're both picking Minnesota. You should pick Minnesota. But that's why I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Rams. And you know what? I don't got any skin in the game tonight yet. So after this show ends, I'm going to fire up the app, and I'm going to go take the Rams on the money line.
After my therapy session, right?
Oh, I did promise a therapy session for you today. I have to talk to a college class after the show. I didn't realize that was right at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to stick around for 30 minutes after I give this just wonderful chat. Scholar Zach is back. Scholar Zach is back. All right. We got to work on that. Good show today. Big thanks to Will Middlebrooks. Big thanks to Bryson Daily. Rocco Beck is going to join us tomorrow. Can't wait for that conversation. Manny, great job. Junior, great job. Each and every one of you, great job. Great job. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Big Football Friday. Peace.